Alright, we have got to talk about this. Even though I don't have any script or any plan on how exactly I want to talk about this, that's perfectly fine. Because Sony obviously doesn't have any plans on how to keep their consumer happy either. So, this morning, PlayStation decided to drop a bombshell, just an absolute bomb, on, in my opinion, the entire gaming industry, with announcing that starting in January 2028, they will no longer produce physical discs for new games that release on PlayStation consoles. So they are effectively killing physical games for their consoles. They will only release digital. They want most of the purchase to go through PlayStation Network. At retailers, you'll only be able to buy the game in digital formats, so that means, like codes. If you buy a box game, like you buy the box, cover art and everything, you probably won't even get a manual in there anymore, because I feel like manuals have just gone out the door. I feel like I can't remember the last time there was a manual in a physical game that I bought. Usually they're just empty. And now you won't even get a disc. Now you probably won't even get like a cartridge or anything. The only thing you're gonna get is a piece of paper that says type this in on PSN. That's it. You're buying a physical version of a game for a piece of paper to get a code that's a one-time use, mind you, so you can't even use it on a different console. You can't give it to your friend if they want to try out the game. You can't sell it to someone else. Once it's on your console, it's on your console. It's on that account. It's not going to be on your other accounts. It's on your account only. And that's just how gaming on PlayStation is going to be from now on, past 2028 of January. This is such a stupid, idiotic move by Sony. I honestly cannot believe they're actually doing this. I thought it was bad that Rockstar was doing this with GTA 6. Now I'm starting to wonder if that was even their choice. Did they possibly hear about what Sony was doing and they said, well, if we're not going to have physical for PlayStation, why not just do that for all of our systems? Why release GTA physical on Xbox if we can't do it on PlayStation? Just make it all digital. Because I promise you, the bigger companies like Activision, Ubisoft, any of the first party Sony studios, Rockstar, they've all had to have known about this for a while, or at least maybe heard about it through the grapevine. There's no way that they were taken aback by this, and I'm starting to wonder if that's why Rockstar did that. But regardless, just reading this announcement itself annoys me. So let's start. As consumer preferences in the broader entertainment industry continues to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games already released or be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. I promise you the only reason it's this far out is because they probably had some contracts that said that they had to at least keep producing discs until 2028. I promise you, this is probably the soonest they can do it. So that's probably why it's so far out. There's probably some contracts in place that meant they had to at least keep it up until January 2028. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. I just want to point out, they are extremely smart and conniving with the way they are wording this. They are constantly, subtly saying, we're doing this for the consumers, because of the consumers. Because the consumers are trending toward digital, we decided to get rid of physical. They're making it sound like, oh, this wasn't our choice. The consumers are the ones that made this choice. They are trying to subtly shift the blame, try to keep it off of themselves, so that way they don't seem like the greedy company that they are. They're just like, hey, this is what you guys want, this is what we're giving you. And it just continues the farther they get into this announcement. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. We'll continue Oh, this is the line. This line right here. This literally annoys me so much. It legitimately makes me upset. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation and how our players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games, whether that's at retailers or PlayStation Store. What? How can you say this? How can you say this line, this quote, in the same exact announcement where you're saying we're getting rid of one of the choices that players have to purchase new games? What in the hypocritical bullshit are they trying to spit here? We remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for our continued support. This is such a load of absolute horse shit, donkey shit, the biggest shit you can imagine, elephant shit. I don't even know, I don't know what to say, I really don't. Every time I read this, I get more and more upset at the sheer stupidity of the timing of this announcement. Because not only is the economy right now just fucked in general, RAM prices are going up. The PlayStation 6 is being predicted to cost over $1,000. An over $1,000 console, imagine that. And now they're stopping physical game disc production, which, let's be real here, when it comes to consoles, if you want the best deal for your games, you buy them physical, because the sale on physical games are almost always better and they're always more abundant than digital games, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But here's the other kicker about this news. The same hour, the same minute, they also dropped this announcement on about the PlayStation Store for both PS3 and PS Vita. And there's a bunch of stuff here, but basically, just to sum it up, they're closing down the PlayStation Store on both PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. Meaning anything that's on these stores, it will no longer be accessible to us. How can you say, yeah, we're getting rid of physical, so that way you guys can continue to buy digital? And then within the same fucking second, this is basically the same announcement, they both dropped at the exact same time. Yeah, we're closing the digital store in our old consoles. That is not how you start off with you saying, oh yeah, we're gonna go digital only. You don't also start it off by saying, yeah, we're closing the old digital stores. Regardless of whether or not it makes sense for them to do it, you don't start those off. You don't say that at the exact same time, because that just shows one of the major flaws about this whole change, is that they can close these digital stores at any time they want, and then anything that was on there that wasn't anywhere else is now lost media. And I know what some people might be saying, well look, it just means we're just going to be buying stuff on digital. What's the point? I mean, it's the same as just buying it physical, right? No, look at this tweet. This happened, what is this, the June 26th? So that was what, just over a week ago? PlayStation deleted over 500 purchased movies from customer accounts. And there was no refunds. No refunds. These movies that you bought, not rented, bought these movies, were taken off of your account and you are no longer able to watch them, and you're not getting refunded for that. Whatever money you spent on them, it's gone. That's it. This exact same thing can happen to your digital game library. This exact same thing can happen. If a licensing deal ends that requires the game to be pulled, goodbye. And it can be anything as small as, like, let's say some music artist like The Weeknd does a song for Persona 6. Let's say that Weeknd does a song for Persona 6. Licensing deal ends in 10 years after the game releases. They didn't renew the license. Alright, Persona 6 now has to be pulled from every digital storefront. They're no longer allowed to sell it on the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, whatever it's called, Steam, Epic Game Store. They're no longer allowed to sell it. They don't have a license. Could they update the game and take out the song? Yes. Well, let's say they can't do that, or they just don't want to. They'd rather just be like, you know what? Let's just cut it. We don't want to take the time to put resources into making a small update. We're already moved on to Persona 6 Golden Super Edition, or Persona 7 whatever, or Persona 5 re-release number 6. We've already moved on, so who cares? Just get the game off the market. Saves us money. It's the easy way to do it. Well, now because the licensing deal end, they're also going to take that game off your damn account. They can just take that game off your account. And because there's no physical disc version of the game on PlayStation, guess what? You can't play Persona 6 on PlayStation anymore. That is a realistic situation that can now happen. That is... Now, I know what some people are going to say. That would never happen. The chances of that happening are small. The fact that there's even a chance of that happening is completely... It's just horseshit. It's just horseshit for us. The fact that it can even happen, the chance that it can happen, is bad. It doesn't matter if the chance is 0.001%. The fact that there's even a chance is not a good thing. And I know what people are saying. Well, maybe this is just for, you know, first-party games. Maybe people like Call of Duty, or Ubisoft, all these third-party companies will still make their games with disc. Well, apparently to this Twitter account, Genki, all physical PlayStation games are manufactured by Sony, which makes sense to me because Sony has, you know, they're the ones who came up with the whole Blu-ray thing or popularized it. So it doesn't surprise me that this all goes through Sony. So if you want your game to be made on a disc for Sony, you have to go through Sony. So if Sony is deciding, yeah, we're not making discs anymore, no company, no publisher, doesn't matter if they're third party, first party, second party, fourth party, an indie company of 2 people, it doesn't matter. You can't get a disc on PlayStation anymore. You can't have your own physical release on PlayStation. Like, I don't understand how some people can hear this stuff and be like, it doesn't matter. How does that not matter? Having your games be reduced to being a license is horrible. The fact that it can be taken away from you at any point is horrible. I mean, technically, it can already happen due to the fact that the way how games are handled, because now with most discs nowadays being used as more of a key to unlock the game for you to download it rather than having the game actually be on the disc, they can easily just take the license away from you now if they wanted to. But now it's just even easier for them to do it, because if you had the disc, maybe you could take some of the data off of it, if it even has the data on it to begin with. But it's just, I don't know. It just feels like the quiet part that we've all known for years now about how discs really aren't discs anymore, with them not having the keys. They're more of just, or not having the games on them, they're more just keys, and how that could be easily taken away from us. I feel like Sony is now just saying, yeah, we're not keeping this part quiet. Y'all already know it, so we're just gonna go ahead and fully buy into it. And I know what some people are saying. They're a business. They have to do what's best for them, you know? Because, oh, boo-hoo, big corporations are losing money. God, how can these corporations that are somehow always losing money, but yet every year somehow still record record profits, oh God, how are they gonna survive? You know, other industries, like Games Cage points out here, music and movies physically are dead. You know, streaming movies, streaming music, Apple Music, iTunes. I'm using iTunes right now to play the Mega Man Star Force soundtrack for you guys in the background. All those 2 industries, in my opinion, are even more dead when it comes to physical. But you know what happens? They still release physical CDs. They still release Blu-rays. They still release 4K Blu-rays. They still release vinyls. They still give you the choice. That is the issue. The fact that Sony is trying to take away the choice. That is not good. That is not consumer friendly. No matter how much they try to spin this bullshit of we're adapting to the consumer trends. No, the only reason they are doing this is to save themselves more money. Because I know some people might say, oh yeah, well now because games are just going to be digital only, they don't have to pay to make discs. They don't have to pay to like even have cover art. They'll just release basic ass boxes or just codes. you know, that means savings will come down to us. Maybe games will go down to $50, $40. Be honest with yourself. If there's savings to be made here, where do you think those savings are going? To the consumer or to the big corps that are just sitting there making all these stupid ass choices? It's gonna go to the corps. They're the ones who are gonna be like, hey, the games still have to be $80, even though we're no longer making the discs for them. The game itself is still priced at $80. It still costs us to make this money. Oh, but the money that we save from not having to make the game disc, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Just go ahead and buy the game. You know, the savings are not gonna come down to us. If by some miracle they do, I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. But I just think it is really stupid. I'd like to be optimistic, but I think it's stupid as a consumer to think they're gonna drop prices because of this. They are not. If anything, I can see prices going up because now that everything is digital for them, they need to pay for more servers so that way more people can download and buy their games. So because they need more servers, we gotta increase the prices, you know, because servers don't come cheap now because of RAM and all this other stuff being all raised up. So hey, now these games are gonna be $100, but now you have the convenience of just buying them from the store. Oh well, you know, I'll just go to GameStop and get the game used or get the game on one of their sales. Oh wait, GameStop doesn't have the game physically anymore, so they can't drop the price because then they'll just be taking a huge loss as well. I mean, fuck, is GameStop even gonna still exist after this? GameStop's entire thing comes from reselling physical discs, so I don't even know how the fuck GameStop's gonna survive. They've already been on like the ropes for the past couple of years. Now with this, they're gonna have to go all in on those Funko Pops. They're gonna have to go all in on that. And this just brings up how I just want to get into how it feels like every generation, or not every generation, but for the past couple generations, one company does something really stupid, or both companies, or two companies do something really stupid, while one of them is just the god of that generation. So we got like the PlayStation 2 versus the Xbox. Both great consoles, but the PlayStation 2 is regarded as one of the greatest consoles of all time. Sony gets a big head about this, releases the PlayStation 3, ends up bombing, ends up doing pretty bad. They priced the hell out of it. They made it super fucking expensive, and then here comes Microsoft with the Xbox 360, and guess what? The Xbox 360 completely dominated that gen. PlayStation 3 made a nice little comeback near the end, but at the end of the day, if you ask anyone about that generation, more than likely they're going to say Xbox 360 was the winner. So now Microsoft has a big head, and they completely fuck it up with the Xbox, what was it, the One? Xbox One, whatever the stupid name for it was. And they're still paying for that till this day. Till this day, they're still trying to remember what they were doing with the Xbox 360 and what made that successful, because they're struggling hard now with the... What Xbox are they even on? The Series X, I think is what the new one's called? Or is that the Pro version? I don't even know. Their naming convention is super confusing. I think it's the Series X that they're on right now. They're still struggling. They're apparently going to have huge, like a record amount of layoffs for the gaming industry in like about a week, from what a lot of news sources are saying. So we're going to see what happens next week with a lot of the Xbox studios. But yeah, Sony dominated the Xbox One gen with the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 was a huge success. Sony felt like they could not do anything wrong. They had a few missteps here and there, but overall, that was PlayStation's generation, right? And Nintendo is always in the background. They have the Switch, they had the Wii U, and because of the Wii U, they ended up kind of... Let's not talk about the Wii U. But the Switch was a massive success. Now they have the Switch 2 and they're still doing good. Meanwhile, Sony and Microsoft are still just shooting themselves because of the PlayStation 4. Now Sony gets the big head again. You'd think they learned from the PlayStation 3 from what happened with the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3 to not do the same things again. No, they got a big head about it, and now they feel like they can do whatever they want, and that's exactly where this comes from. Sony thinks that they're still the king of the gaming industry right now. They can do whatever they want. They still think they have all this good graces from the PlayStation 4 that they can do whatever they want to us. and they have done nothing but fail this generation. I mean, look at this, look at just these failures right here. Concord, not much needs to be said about that. They canceled The Last of Us Online, they canceled their Spider-Man multiplayer project, they canceled a studio from they canceled a title from Ben Studios. I'm pretty sure they closed down Ben Studios. Blue Point Games, God of War live service, that got shut down. They shut down Blue Point Games. They bought Bungie, had a lot of massive layoffs. They had to delay Marathon. They basically killed Destiny 2. And it's just like, brother, Sony, how many more losses can you take? And the crazy thing is, a lot of these losses are from live service games. And they have come out within the past week and said, no, we're doubling down. We still believe in live service games. I don't think Sony realizes that with live service games, what they have to put in to get out of it. Because like they see Fortnite, they see these gacha games like Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Star Rail, Love and Deep Space, Nikke. They see all these live service games and they think, oh, they're making so much money, we can do the same thing. Not realizing how much money and how much like dedication or willingness to like put in, like they can't abandon it right away. Because like let's say this, for example, if Sony was in charge of Wuthering Waves, everyone knows Wuthering Waves, as much as I love it to this day, that game had a lot of issues year one with the 1.x versions. Sony would have destroyed the game. They would have, at like 1.2, I think 1.2 is the farthest Wuthering Waves would have made it, with Sony as their publisher or leader, whatever you want to call them. Sony at that point would have been like, nope, it's not worth it, and just cut the game off. Honestly, I don't even know if they would have reached 1.2. I think Wuthering Waves would have been canceled after the mixed reception to their closed beta test that they had. I think Sony would have just been like, nope, not worth it, and just cut it off. But you look at Wuthering Waves now, Kuro stuck with it. Now, in my opinion, Wuthering Waves is the best gacha game out there, out of the mainstream ones. Granted, that's a biased opinion for me, but still, you can't, if you're being objective, you can objectively look at Wuthering Waves at 1.0 and then look at it now at 3.4 and not be like, okay, they've made a lot of improvements. Like, it's obvious they've put in the work to get back the confidence from the players. Now, it's still a gacha game. At the end of the day, gacha games are still evil, but you have to give them credit, they're at least trying. And Sony just doesn't understand that. They want, from day one, they want these live service games to give them unlimited profit. But they don't understand that's not how it works, so that leads to all of these cancellations, all these studios suffering. That is why there is no games on the PS5, because they've been canceling all the live service games they had in development, wasting years of dev time. And it's just like, I don't get how they do all of these mistakes these past couple years with that, and then come out last week, nah, we're sticking with it. We're gonna keep developing live service games, and maybe one of these days they'll come out. It's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened to Sony between the PS4 to PS5. I know they've had some leadership changes, but holy shit, man. The choices they have been making are just horrible, and Xbox is in on that too. Nintendo right now is the winner of this generation. Nintendo has done some horrible shit in the past. Even now to this day, they still do some really stupid shit because they're stuck in their old ways and they have like a certain view on stuff. So it's like, I don't know, man. This whole generation has just felt like Nintendo doing their own thing with the Switch and Switch 2. Meanwhile, Xbox and Sony, instead of fighting each other or taking turns pointing the shotgun at their own face and pulling the trigger like it's Russian roulette, in Minecraft, of course. But that's exactly what this generation has felt like. It's just Sony and Xbox just causing themselves their own issues. It's insane to me. It is legitimately insane. And just another thing that makes this even worse is this. Sony tested dynamic pricing on the PlayStation Store. So if you don't know what dynamic pricing is, as it says right here, it's basically them showing different prices to different users across different regions. There is no set price. They can change the price however they want, and that is the moment I saw that they announced they were killing physical and they want everything to be digital for themselves. This is the first thing that came to my mind. This test that they were doing, that is what this was for. Because imagine, let's say everything is digital now, it's past 2028, right? Let's say this older game, or let's say it's like 2032, this game that came out in like 2029 wasn't too popular when it released, but now a few years later some streamers started playing it, or it started blowing up on Twitter because of some meme, and now more people are wanting to play it. The game was set at like $30, but now because Sony's algorithm has seen that it's trending on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, it's gonna instantly shoot up the price to $59.99 again. Just as soon as it starts showing up in trends, they shoot up the price. That way all these new people are like, oh, maybe I should check this game out now. They're gonna have to pay this increased price, and to make themselves look like the good guys, the next in like a few days they'll be like, hey, we're putting this game on sale for $45.99, when just a week earlier it was at $29.99, but because of dynamic pricing it's now different. And who knows, that sale might not even apply to everyone, because maybe in places where the game is just super popular it's not even gonna go on sale. Maybe in just the places where, like, yeah, sales have been going up in this region but not a lot, we'll go ahead and keep the game at like $45. But here, where they're buying the game a lot regardless of the price, we're gonna go ahead and keep it at $59.99. And it's just like, that is scary, because there's no stopping them at that point. What are you gonna do? Go to the physical store and get the game? It's just gonna be a code and it's still gonna be $59.99. Like, oh my god, man. I legitimately cannot see the good points of this. I really cannot. Like, for a quick example, let's pull up this. Let's pull up Amazon, just real quick. Let's look at this. Amazon, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, $25.38 for the PlayStation 5. Let's see here. Let's type it in. Metal Gear Delta. How much is that on the PlayStation Store right now? Digital Deluxe is $80. Okay, this is just the normal edition. Well, it says Tactical Edition. Is the Tactical Edition the same as the Deluxe? No, it is not. Okay, so let's find a different version of the game. All right, here's the base version of the game. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, $70. Amazon, you can get it for $25.38. Do you not see the issue with it having it be all digital and stuff? Okay, and I know what you might be saying, maybe it's not the same for every game. And yeah, of course it's not going to be the same for every game. Like, for some games, yeah, it might end up being cheaper on the store itself. Like, let's see here. Silent Hill 2. What is it on the store right now? Silent Hill 2 is $29 on Amazon, the basic edition. The basic edition on PlayStation Store is $70. They do have the premium edition though for $40. So it's still more expensive to buy it there, but at least you're getting like the premium edition. But still, like, do you see the issue here? Because who's to say that once they don't have to worry about physical competition anymore, that these sales just end up getting worse? You know what I mean? Like, competition is good. Competition is good. Now, I'm not saying the store is physical is always better than the store, but more often than not, physical is better than the store. Like right here, you could argue the store is better because the deluxe edition is only $10 more. Here, how much is, actually, we can just check. Deluxe edition. They don't have it marked here. Well, I'm trying to make my point, but I can't make my point. But regardless, this whole thing is just a load of shit. It really is. I don't like this whole idea of everything just being physical or digital only. There's just way too many possible negatives to this entire thing that any positive you can think of is just not realistic. It really is not. I also feel like low-key, this is them trying to find another way to kill physical or backwards compatibility, because it's pretty much guaranteed now at this point that the PlayStation 6 is going to be digital only. If they're going to go ahead and kill physical, I don't see them releasing a PlayStation 6 with a physical disc. Maybe they'll do the thing that they did with 5, where there's an add-on you can buy, but I honestly don't even see that being a thing. So then you're kind of shit out of luck for your physical PS5 games to move them to PS6 if they don't give an option. I know what some people are going to say, what do you care about backwards compatibility? I'm gonna be honest, if you're still trying to make the argument that backwards compatibility is not important in today's gaming, and just gaming in general, you're an idiot. I'm being honest. If you don't think backwards compatibility is a good thing, you're an idiot. I'm just being honest. I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, I didn't have a plan for this video. I just wanted to talk about this, get my thoughts out. I'm sure I made some weird points or some points I didn't properly articulate because I'm just shooting from the hip. I'm just letting my heart out here, my emotions out, my frustration with Sony. Listen, I've been a Sony boy since I was a kid. I grew up with Sony. I have a PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just hurts for me to see them making dumb choices like this, man. I really hope they end up backtracking on this. Do I think they're going to? No. I really don't think they will. I think they're going to stand firm on this, but here's hoping they come to their senses and realize they are not being consumer friendly at all with this. They're going to be, I don't know, man. It's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. But with that being said, I think I've rambled on for enough. I don't know what else I could say. I feel like at this point I would just be repeating myself. So let me know what you guys think about this whole news, how you're feeling about it. Do you even care? Do you think it's a bad thing or anything? I think this is horrible. Whether or not you even buy physical games, I think this is something you should not be happy about. Because at the end of the day, I don't see a way that this makes digital games better. If anything, it just makes them worse because it gets rid of some competition for them. And at the end of the day, competition is always a good thing for these companies, because when they don't have competition, they get away with being lazy and doing things that only benefits them instead of the consumer. If you want the consumer to benefit, there needs to be competition to force these companies to play ball. With no competition, they don't gotta play ball. They don't. They can just do whatever bullshit they want and get away with it. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how this develops within the next 2 years. But with that being said, thank you all for watching. Sorry for the rant, but I felt like it was appropriate. It's just I needed to get it out there. I know this is something that's never, I don't think I've ever done a video like this on the channel, so I'm hoping I never do another one of these again, because I don't like being negative about the gaming industry, but these past couple of years, man, the gaming industry is just, oh man, there's been some bad choices. But with that being said, thank you all for watching. God bless, happy gaming, journey well, and I will see you all next time.